Now, in just a few days, hundreds of thousands of children will be starting school for the very first time. But new research from Triple P suggests that over a quarter of parents are unsure whether their child is actually ready to start school. And we've got Matt Buttery on with us, who's the CEO of Triple P, who's going to discuss the research and encourage parents to seek help and advice ahead of their very first year in school. Good afternoon, Matt. How are you?
Oh, good afternoon, Toby. Thanks for having me on.
Now, what are parents actually worried about here? Why do they think their child might not be ready?
Yeah, well, we did some polling with parents where their child's starting school for the first time this year, and 65% said they felt their child was developmentally behind and that had been negatively impacted by the pandemic. A third of parents saying they're worried about, their academic development, social development, emotional development, worried about friendships. 25% of parents saying they're worried their children didn't have any friends going into school, and also things like separation anxiety too. So quite a wide, a bunch of worries really that families were expressing to us. And what was equally concerning in the research is that 75% of the parents that we polled said that they felt there was social stigma attached with them reaching out for help with their parenting. And so, we've got not only some challenges and some concerns, but also that sense in which parents feeling isolated because they felt there was social stigma around reaching out for help.
Yeah. So what's actually been the impact of the pandemic on this? Because I suppose apart from maybe nursery and other childcare, these children haven't had any school things to be disrupted yet.
Well, I think it has been hugely disrupted though, hasn't it, during that time? If you think about the last couple of years where children would have been in preschool or would have been playing with, their mum and dad and or with their friends, on play dates, actually we've been inside and we've been in isolation. And so many of those kind of skills that children would have picked up during that time of, putting your own coat on to go outside to play, through to playing with pencils and, holding pencils and that sort of stuff, actually many children have suffered because they've not had some of that during that time period. So, we know that starting school, it's a big transition for anybody. But I think particularly for this year group, we're noticing there are some extra challenges because of the impact that COVID has had.
I think we all remember our first day of school, don't we, and how terrified we were. So I suppose it's worth remembering that the children are a bit anxious as well themselves.
Yeah, I think you're making a good point. I think parents and children can both find this a little bit challenging when and it is a big thing. And so reassuring your child, thinking about routine can all be powerful things to do to help your child become ready for next week.
Yeah. Is there an element of the parents being a bit anxious because their child starting school is kind of symbolic of the fact that their child has grown up a bit and they're beginning to slip through their fingers?
I think that's always the case, isn't it? From the very moment that children are born, they're somewhat growing away from us in terms of independence. Obviously, it happens over many, many years. But yes, you're right. There can be a real challenge for parents at this moment too, because they feel anxious. Obviously, they want their child to do well. They want them to put their best foot forward, and they have some often very genuine concerns about this transition. But I think, as we're saying, the polling is showing us that there's some extra special challenges for children starting at the moment, and that we need to be aware of.
So how can parents best prepare their children for starting school?
Thanks, Toby. That's a really good question. I think there's a range of things that parents can be doing to help prepare their child for school. I think the first thing is be talking about it, be having conversations with your child. Share your own positive memories of school. If your child has got particular concerns, then listen to them. Maybe you can think of some possible solutions that they could come up with. Check in regularly. At mealtime tonight, dinner time tonight, or maybe bath time. Have a little chat. Good communication is key. But also think about routine. I mean, getting a good night's sleep is one of the best things you can help set your child up for success with. And so be thinking about, particularly if your child isn't starting until the beginning of next week, let's be thinking this week about bedtime routines, but also things like helping them plan ahead for their new schedule. So things like learning to pack your bag, learning to pack your lunchbox. Perhaps if you're going to be walking to school, you could walk the route together. If you're taking a bus or a train, then be practicing some of those things. I think there's many things we can do there to help children get used to those new routines and learn new skills. And then finally, as school starts, we're encouraging parents as well. This is a great opportunity for them to make new friends, to connect with other parents, maybe volunteer, go in and do reading with the children or with your school class. Many parents remember, or many parents hear from their children, we don't want you in school, we don't want you to come in. But I think actually at this age in particular, kids are really up for their parents being involved. And so if that's something that you're able to do, then get involved, volunteer, maybe get involved in the PTA. As you make new friends with your children's friends, it can help scaffold those relationships for them too.
Yeah, that's such a thing. I remember when I was growing up, certainly my mum, some of her closest friends or the friends she spent the most time with were the other parents at the school.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really powerful way to scaffold relationships for your children.
Yeah.
Obviously allowing them to make their own friends as well and to make choices, but it's really powerful when you've got those shared friendships with other families as well.
Yeah. Even once your child has started school, are there ways that you can help them along and make sure they're doing okay?
I think there are loads of things you can be doing, and I think in some ways, the three things we just shared there around talking about it, having routines and thinking about friendships and support can be a kind of mantra for this next few weeks, this next few months, because I think those things go on. And, getting involved, maybe also making relationship with your school, your child's school teacher as well. Teachers are great at helping kids settle, particularly in the reception years. And so, they can be great sources of information, advice. You've got concerns to be reaching out. But obviously also, Triple P is a parenting program. And so I think what we want to be doing at this point in time is saying to parents, actually, there is good, high quality help and advice out there that's backed by research and that's been proven by millions of parents around the world. And, people can find a program like Triple P. About 60% of local areas in England deliver Triple P programs, but also they can find us online just by Googling the word triple and the letter P, and they'll find some of our online programs and information and advice there too.
Excellent. Well, I take it that's where we can go for more advice and everything, right?
Yeah, totally. I think, our website is triple-p-parenting.net, but honestly, Google the word triple and the letter P and you'll find us very, very easily. So, equally, be looking for local services. We know that many parents will turn to GPs or to health visitors, and they can be really good sources of support. In reality, though, many of those professionals will be saying, go and get yourself enrolled in a great parenting program like Triple P. And so we really hope that some of the conversation we can start this year can be about normalising and destigmatising parenting programs and making them more accessible. The government is just investing in this family hubs program at the moment to try and open family hubs in every local area. We really want to see the new Prime Minister get behind that initiative and be championing those sorts of services and making this kind of support universally accessible to any parent that might need it at any age and stage of their child's journey.
Yeah. The new Prime Minister will be announced the same day as the schools go back, and I wonder who she'll be.
I think that may have been a leading question. He or she will be, surely, is what you're saying. Yeah, and I think, this family hubs, as I've just mentioned, was a manifesto commitment of for the Conservatives back in 2019. And we're really concerned that we've not heard as much conversation about initiatives like family hubs during the last few weeks of hustings. And so we're really keen to see the new Prime Minister get behind this and recognise that parenting is a really tough job, but parents are doing such an amazing work that we should be supporting them and providing as much help and advice and support as they want and as they need.
Yeah. Well, many thanks for joining us today. It's been great to talk to you.
Thanks, Toby.